Hello and welcome back to the fifth episode of the Online Trainer Show. So in today's episode I actually managed to interview Steve Hall from Revive Stronger. So I've actually followed Steve for what must have been since 2015 now. So I've actually seen his business grow each year and the new things that he's done to get more clients, basically just become more well known in the industry. And it's clear to say that Steve has certainly had one of the fastest growing online coaching businesses in the UK right now, to where he currently is. So this was a really exciting episode to record. In the episode, Steve talks about all the things that he's done to get to where he is, and it really just does show that consistency across all social media platforms, and finding a specific social media platform that does well and nailing it has really turned out well for Steve. So you'll be seeing all of the things that we talk about in this episode. And if you want to find out more about the online fitness business and how you can learn tips and tricks, there is a free download ebook called the Flood of Leads Matrix as well, if you go to www.onlinefitnessbusiness.com. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and all of the information will be in the show notes, and I'll speak to you soon. Right. So hello and welcome back to episode 5 of the Online Trainer Show. So today we're very honoured to have Steve Hall on the podcast, and Steve is from Revive Stronger. He is the owner and founder, and I guess you could say head coach as well of Revive Stronger. So how are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. It's actually, I kind of like having these podcasts in at the moment because in a mini cut at the moment, so dieting, and then after I've done like my main work for the day, clients, and then trained, I'm like, oh, like, when's food coming? So it's quite nice because this distracts me nicely. So yeah, I'm good, thank you.
It's a nice distraction from the food. I know how you feel. So I got 14 weeks to go to my first show. So
damn, that's close.
Yeah, it feels close, but it just, then again, it sounds really far away as well. So.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Steve has built Revive Stronger from the ground up. I've actually seen Steve build his business over the years. I've been following Steve since 2000, and I think it must have been 2015. Cool. I first found you on YouTube when I was doing my own prep. You were doing, I think it was like the full day of eat-ins, and I think I stole your ideas for sort of the high volume protein fluff, and like that's when you kind of came on my radar, and I started seeing all of the awesome content you were putting out. So yeah, it's been great to sort of see the growth of Revive Stronger to where it is now. So yeah, like undeniably one of the most fastest growing UK coaching business that I've personally seen since that sort of time. So yeah, it's been impressive to see, and I'm sure like you'll be able to tell us more about it. So tell us about Revive Stronger and sort of where it started, like from you obviously coaching people in person to online, and to sort of where you're at now, like a bit about your journeys.
Cool. So no, amazing, and thank you. I've been following along the same path as following you and seeing you kind of grow with your business, and now going into online coaches more full time. So it's amazing to see other great people who are doing good jobs do that. So no, I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, with Revive Stronger, it all spawned from, it was kind of a bit of a weird place. I was working a office job, and I was at the same time very interested. I always have been in kind of at bodybuilding, and I would be like the only person who would be like bringing in Tupperware and eating my meals and leaving work on time. Like a lot of people would work overtime. They'd be like, oh, it's like 5 to 5. Steve's going to be like packing his Tupperware into his bag and on his bike in a minute to go home and train. And that's like where everything stemmed from. And I actually ended up kind of, just as me as my character, I couldn't not give my job my all. So I ended up sacrificing a bit of kind of my bodybuilding to do overtime and work harder at it. And I got to a position where I was either going to go and become something within that career, or I was going to follow my dream, because at the same time I was doing a personal training qualification on the side. So you could do this part-time, and I was doing that on the weekends, studying to become a personal trainer, just in case. It was always just an interest.
Just a backup plan.
Exactly. And I was fortunate enough to be living at home this whole time, so I was saving money. And an opportunity arose where someone who had already an established personal training business was going on holiday and could kind of hand me down some clients whilst he was away, because he'd seen my work, he knew who I was. He was like, you need to get into the industry. And so I took this opportunity. Unfortunately, that actually completely fell through, like exactly at that time. And the reason it fell through is because of the fact I was at the same time with my small online presence that I had, with the YouTube channel that I was kind of doing as just my own thing. I had like maybe I think one or two like clients who were paying me like £30 or something. Like I was charging nothing to them just to try and give them a hand, because at the time I followed people like Matt Ogus. I found 3DMJ. I saw they were doing online coaching. I was like, oh, this is quite cool. And then I was approached by people who just were like, can you give me a hand? And so I decided to kind of do a little bit there, see if I could help them. And I wanted to build that side. It was always something I thought was quite cool. So the reason it fell through is because I wasn't happy to give this kind of business to the person I was going to work with. So I ended up working at my home gym as a one-on-one PT full time. And at this time I also started out my 2014 contest prep. And so I was like losing fat and posting all these pictures on then Instagram and building up a bit of kind of popularity there, documenting some of my progress over on YouTube, as well as you saw like the protein fluff, which is terrible. I don't think I've eaten it ever since I made that, like the last time in my prep. I remember it stuffing me and I just felt sick. But regardless, I then was working one-on-one with people in my home gym. And at the same time in that gym, there's a lot of schools surrounding the area from my hometown. There's a lot of younger kind of guys who are maybe like just getting into the gym, and I was kind of 2 steps ahead of them. I was kind of at that stage where I'd found how to get past intermediate lifter, where a lot of guys are. They're kind of at that intermediate stage where they just need more. They need some periodization. They need some thought to go into their nutrition, but they don't need someone there watching them squat, watching them deadlift, telling them, well, they might need some help actually. A lot of them did, but they didn't want that. They didn't want someone to count their sets and reps. They just wanted some coaching. So I ended up taking a lot of these guys online and just giving them training programming, nutritional programming, and just basic stuff, again, charging nothing compared to what like I charge now. And it's crazy to think actually some of them have approached me now coming for coaching, and they're like, oh, okay, this is quite different. So a lot has changed, and I managed to slowly transition from the online side, from one-on-one PT to just online. And this kind of happened in line with my contest prep. As you know, Jack, when you compete, your brain kind of goes a bit to mush after a while. And so the online stuff was really nice for me because you can sit down, you can just concentrate on that, and you can do good work. Whereas you have to be really up and at it when you're a one-on-one PT, and that can be incredibly tiring. So it kind of fell in line with that. And I was continuing to do YouTube, and I was continuing to, I started up a blog. I've actually had 3 blogs. I don't think people realize I had. I think one was called The Fitness Hub, and then I went to Revive with Stephen Hall, and then finally settled on Revive Stronger. So I've been like, there's a lot of stuff under the surface, kind of an iceberg that I've been working on, and eventually settled there. And I ended up going fully online once there was an opportunity to kind of move out from home in with Charlotte, who's now my girlfriend. And so that was quite a big risk for me because I wasn't earning really enough to pay a good amount for like London living, but I was kind of just about there. So by moving out, it really forced me to put everything into the business to really make sure it grew. So I had the income so I could pay rent and kind of find my own way in London. And it just kept growing. I got great results with people. And it was just, I think what really helped me was that initial one-on-one PT, or that local, you can really, really kind of get that know, like, and trust with someone when you're in person with them and you talk to them. And that's great. And that's why I think like going to seminars and things is great for networking, because you can actually talk to people face to face, and you can make sure you know them. And kind of a lot of that person element is lost with online training. So because I managed to, obviously I knew these guys in person and I got great results with them, that kind of spoke through itself. And so it just started expanding from there. Where I think I got a lot of my growth initially was through the Personal Training Development Center. I had a lot of articles, like it was almost every other week I was getting articles in there that were within their top listing. And that just helped grow my kind of popularity, grow also just the fact that if I was in that list, it was kind of like, you're credible, you know what you're talking about. And this really helped. So from there, it just kept kind of growing, and with competing and kind of getting shredded, kind of knowing what I was doing, and people saw that, getting results with clients, myself, having good scientific information out on articles, it all started to just grow and expand, to the point where I then started a podcast. Actually, that started after I brought Mike Israetel over, which again was a bit of a risk. It wasn't really known what I was particularly doing. That was with Mike Samuels, who you might know.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm sure some of the listeners will know who kind of Mike Samuels is. He had Healthy Living, Heavy Lifting, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it.
Was his like brand, which I don't think he particularly pushes anymore. He's kind of changed route. But we brought over Mike Israetel together. And that was kind of just an interesting venture because I was just friends with him. He helped me learn a bit about blogging and things, which was really cool. And then from there, I asked Mike if he would come on the podcast to answer some questions that were kind of lagging from the seminar. Some people had some questions. And then we decided to make it like a thing that we just do this podcast Q&A with Mike. And then from there, that kind of built my confidence to bring on other professionals who I'd met at seminars. So I've had like Brad Schoenfeld on, Eric Helms, and now they're coming on regularly. And now my confidence is growing to a point where I bring on people I've never met in person, but the podcast has credibility, I have credibility. They know they're not going to be like moved around and pissed about, and they know the podcast is going to get heard by a large audience. So I have the credibility there to bring on amazing guests. And I think that, again, has helped the online business grow to a point where I could bring on Pascal, who is now more of a kind of a business partner than anything, where he's helping me with the podcast, make that high quality. And then to attract people like Miguel, who is an incredibly smart individual who actually wanted to come on as a coach. I wasn't particularly looking to bring on anyone. It just was an opportunity that just made complete sense. So I guess that's a very long kind of brief summary of how I am where I am today.
That's good, because like you obviously went over the bits which is like the key points which has got you to where you are, and I've got some questions which will go more into detail with them a bit later. So no, yeah, very good intro into sort of how you are where you are. So yeah, it's cool. I'm going to go into more of the sort of the marketing side a bit later on, because there's some questions I think for yourself which are perfect, because obviously the type of clients that you get in, they are more of a, say, intermediate to advanced client, because that's obviously what you specialize in. And this was a question actually who came from a listener, which I thought I'd say for yourself, because it's going to be a good one in terms of like, how do you coach and how do you give feedback or get feedback from clients? Because everybody does it differently. Some people do email, some people do videos, and I know you do things a bit differently to what most would probably do. So can you just go into detail about that, about how you coach, how you get feedback from your current clients to basically optimize their results?
Yeah, brilliant. This is a really good question because it's changed for me as well from how I started to how I am today. So when I was first doing it, obviously most of the guys who I was coaching were in person anyway, so I could shoot them emails back and forth and see them in person and be like chatting away. So that was fine. But then when I drew people over from kind of overseas who I didn't know who they were, and I was just having emails with them, or there was no consultation initially with them. It was just literally an email back and forth like, yeah, I want some coaching. Can you help me out? And then I might have a little questionnaire for them with some generic questions that I wasn't really sure. I just needed some basic information, and then chucked a program at them and tried to get results. That fell flat on its face pretty quickly. That was really hard to even get an understanding of the individual and get an understanding of what they require. And then even receiving feedback was incredibly difficult. And there'd be so many miscommunications where I might say something and they take it the wrong way, or they might say something and I take it the wrong way. And I had no longevity with clients. I'm really lucky that part of the reason Revive Stronger has been such a success is I've still got clients who I've had for years. Like I've got some clients who I've had for 2+ years since the beginning, basically. And that's all because of how I've evolved as a coach, I think, and the ability to get good feedback and actually get results with people. I think a lot of people think of online personal training as they kind of hear the online coaching and they hear online training and they forget the personal element, which I think you'd agree, Jack, is just so important for it. It can't be understated, because you might as well be buying, you might as well use Avatar Nutrition by like Lane Norton, where they just give you macros, or you might as well go and buy a training template from online, because you're not going to get that personal feedback without kind of some element of actually like discussion, which I think is difficult via email. And I know lots of people probably do it and are highly successful with it. It's just not how I found the best success. So the way I evolved from that was initially going with a consultation initially. So this would be like we're doing now, a chat on Skype, or now you can do like, there's so many ways you can do it now. I think you can even do it over Instagram and things if you wanted to. So it's nuts. It's so easy though, which is brilliant. And I think that's why online personal training is growing massively. So now I have that initial consultation. And first they fill out a consultation form. So this just gets some basic information about them as an individual. It also, I make sure that they kind of fill out a PAR-Q at that point, because these are just some like legality things that's just great to get out of the way. So signing a PAR-Q, signing up to terms and conditions from filling out that initial kind of consultation form, and also just saying like the little things like what are you looking to get out of online coaching? What's provided you good results in the past? What hasn't provided you good results in the past? How much have you invested so far in your lifting career? How long have you been lifting? What are you happy with your physique? What aren't you happy with? Just some basic information so that kind of we know they're legit, because they have to spend some time filling out this like online coaching questionnaire. And also now I charge. We never used to charge for consultations, but for about the past year, been charging just a small fee, £20.
Yeah.
And that's really helped kind of rid the weeds, because I used to get a lot of consultations with people just like, oh yeah, I'm just interested. Like, it sounds cool. Like, it just does sound cool to have a coach. Whereas they have no idea what's really involved. So by giving a bit of like a £20 consultation fee, it's like, right, you know they're serious. They know we're serious. We're going to schedule it in. We're going to set aside time. I sit down and make sure that my focus is completely on that consultation. I don't think you can do it whilst you're like walking along the street. I don't think you should be doing it in a busy restaurant. I sit down, make sure they've got my time. They've paid money for that. It is refunded if they sign up. So there's that element there as well. And then I know they're going to turn up. They're going to put everything to it. They're going to make sure they don't like just not turn up, because that would happen as well. Massively frustrating. So that really helped, and that put us. But we couldn't do it initially. It's just like I had to charge £30 initially because I was no one. Whereas once you build up some credibility, people know you're good at your job, you can start charging for these things, which is really, really nice. So now I have that initial consultation. And then after that, that's where if they decide to sign up, they sign up. I have like a handbook, some explanatory videos about how coaching will work. And they fill out a second application form, which goes into like masses of detail in terms of like body weight, height, what sort of things they have available in their gym, how many times a week can they train, all of that sort of thing. Go away, develop their program. And now you can there's even kind of free software, so you can record a video of you going over their program, which is really nice. I think it's called like Screen Recorder. Yeah, so it's fantastic, because you can be down there like smiling and talking them through all of the spreadsheets. And my spreadsheets haven't changed hugely. Like, they look much more professional, but the actual data probably hasn't changed that much, especially like the really valuable data, like the key data points. But collecting things like their weight, the time they weigh in, the energy levels, hunger levels, macros, what they've consumed, any extra notes and information they want to be putting in there as well on a daily basis. And then their training mesocycles, and how many reps they've done, weight they've used, how they're feeling fatigue-wise, motivation to train. But really that data is helpful. But the thing that was a game changer was, rather than getting an email, was a video.
Yeah, that's something that I've seen from yourself and a few other coaches, like getting an actual video from your client, like back from them. And like I haven't actually gone into that myself just yet, but it's something I'm definitely considering, because the more I sort of see people do it, like it's that feedback that you're obviously going to probably talk about is key, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the feedback you get, I could almost receive that video, and if the client's good with it, because some of them are a bit awkward initially, or they don't give you much. They just like, they almost talk through their spreadsheet, and I'm always critical of them if they do that. I'm like, I know your body weight was that. I know your body weight changed on average by that much. That's not what I care about. I care about how you're feeling, how you're responding to your training, how your lifestyle is, what your stresses are like, because these things, that's the personal element of the coaching. You actually end up becoming friends. I have often become friends with clients. Like, lots of them, we have banter, and I know them all as like individuals. And it's really cool. It makes the job much more satisfying as well. And I think that's why personal training is so great. And a lot of people just have personal trainers because it's like, otherwise they wouldn't go to the gym. Now they go to the gym because they look forward to having a session with their trainer. And I think that element of the video makes people adhere better. But something I really found helped me, apart from all of the like kind of learning about them as an individual, stressors, how they're responding to training, was the ability to answer questions. Because I found sometimes it was like, it's great, I have blogs on kind of answers to many questions that they might have, which was really useful. It's great typing out an answer, but sometimes it just needs talking it through. Because like, you'll know, Jack, like there's so many individual nuances and things like this, and you almost need to if you can speak it out, it makes much more sense. And they're like, oh, okay, I accept that that's something I don't need to worry about because you've kind of taught me through it. Or you can say things and things don't get misconstrued. Like you can actually be kind of, I can say before I say it, like, I don't mean to be harsh. I don't mean to tell you off like your mum, but you need to get better at this. And I can say it and smile about it. And it's much better than like writing it out in an email. So that video feedback has been really, really helpful. And that turns into, like, for bodybuilding competitors, physique competitors, getting them to have video of them going through their poses, live Skype chats during their prep as well. So that they get that element as well, because sometimes you just need an hour to talk to your coach because things are feeling like you have no one else who understands, whereas your coach will understand you. So the video feedback has been invaluable, and they don't need to. Some people are like, you think they're going to take ages, but a lot of the time they could be 5 minutes up to maybe 15. That would be a long video for me, but a lot of the time they're like 5 minutes. I can leave a 5-minute video back, and as long as you've got good speed of like internet, it's a really quick process. Because you can just make notes from their videos and then give them feedback. And the longer I've done it, the way more I've got so much more efficient at it and spotting things and getting the answers I need from them. So that was a game changer for me.
Would you say that your clients, they sometimes don't want to do that? Because I know, like, if I ask some of my clients, that they probably wouldn't want to do a video, mainly just because of, I don't know, I think the embarrassment factor of videoing themselves and being awkward. So do you have like a specific thing when they sign up that they've got to be able to video feedback with you?
So no, that isn't an absolute must, but we've never had, I don't think me or Pascal have had anyone who refuses to do the video check-ins. We have had people apply for coaching who don't want to do the video chat, because I probably would accept a phone call, but I wouldn't accept nothing. Like I have to have some sort of interaction, because I don't know, that some people I can't coach them because they are so kind of almost like awkward and impersonal, and they don't want to share. And it's so important. I always crap on to my clients, like, I need you to be as honest as possible with me. Are you hiding anything? Like, be honest. And they come back and they're laughing because they're like, no, I'm not hiding anything, Steve, it's fine. So no, something that did help with that process was in our handbook we have video prompts, so vlog prompts. So just some questions that they can initially, when they're not sure what to go over, I'm like, okay, go through these, like how you respond to meals, what's stress been like through your day, you're unsure about any exercises, and that allows them, some of them use that every week, other people are like, okay, that was nice as a basis, now I know what we're kind of trying to discuss, and it evolves.
Oh, awesome. No, that's cool. It's something that I think I'll definitely be looking into, and I'm sure some of the listeners will probably look at that as well, because I basically just ask a series of questions on my training sheets, and I can get enough data there. But again, like you said, more data is going to be key in this aspect when you're trying to get obviously insane results all the time. So that's good, and it kind of leads me to my next bit as well. Obviously, you're a very, very busy guy. So you're doing podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and also all the programming and everything. But in terms of tools that you use for helping you in your day-to-day life, like what would you say is like a key amount for coaches to have for like spreadsheets, apps, I guess, to make your life easier? Like what certain tools do you have to make your day as efficient as possible?
I think I could be a lot better at this because I think there's some tools I just don't use because I'm like, I don't know, we're all slight, I think everyone's a slight technophobe in some ways. Like I'm not as bad as Mike Israel's terrible technophobe. He doesn't even know how to use YouTube, I swear. But I do use a few kind of apps and things that have been really helpful. I mean, you'll probably use this as well, Jack. Google Docs is an absolute like godsend. Have everything in there, folders, spreadsheets, Word documents. That allows me to kind of type up questions for podcasts. It allows me to have spreadsheets for clients and develop graphs and mesocycles in a nicely neat way and have formulas toting up volume and kind of average weight change and things. It's just invaluable on that end. And then they can update it live. I can update it live. The only issue is if you ever didn't have internet, that would be the only issue. But besides from that one, I obviously use YouTube. So I actually record my update videos on my phone. And then I use the YouTube app on my phone just to upload it directly. And that's super quick with my internet. I used to compress my videos because they take ages to upload on my last internet. But since moving, I've got insanely good internet here, so I just upload HD quality videos in like a few seconds. So that's really helpful. But if you didn't have that, and some of my clients don't, I recommend they compress their videos, which you can get at free apps for. So that makes that process easier. And then I just use Instagram. I don't use, I think there's like Latergram or other apps that you can use within that. But I use Instagram, Canva. The amount of questions I've had from people like, how do you make your infographics? They look amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, it's just Canva. And everyone's like, oh, I use Canva. I obviously don't spend enough time trying to make these things. And once you get like some good infographics done, you can kind of recycle them in many ways, like changing the graph, changing bits on there. You just get a bit creative, find your template with that, and that makes life a lot easier. And then once you've made enough infographics, I mean, you can even recycle through those. Sometimes I repost really popular ones. But apart from those apps, I don't think there's anything I particularly use that's like very special, unique, that people would be like, oh yeah, that would definitely help me out. Obviously use PayPal to collect payments. That's useful. But besides that, nothing else, nothing special.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so they're pretty much like the standard ones. I don't think you need like fancy technological apps and everything to make it all look pretty. As long as you've got the basics, I think you can coach extremely well. Like you said, YouTube and Google Docs, then it's probably what you really need. So yeah, that's sort of good that you're using those ones, knowing that I'm on the right page with that.
Yeah, I think some people I think there's like Trainerize or something along those lines, and other ones, but I just found that even me and Pascal, our spreadsheets won't look identical. They look very similar, but like our training spreadsheets look slightly different. He likes to record different aspects that I record and don't record. So it's just nice because then you can, even some client spreadsheets look a bit different because I'm like hiding columns or putting in extra columns. I know I've like added columns for some people, like how many fruit and veg have you had? I want you to top that up every single day because they're particularly bad at that. So it's quite nice that you can customize it in that way.
Slam them down if they don't eat their fruit and veg.
Got to get that 5 a day. Literally, some people, you're surprised how little they eat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So obviously, like online coaching, it's very saturated in terms of that. Everyone on Instagram who lifts weights is now an online coach in a way, because it's just very easy. Like people just see it and they think, oh, I can do that. But it's not. That's not the case. But I want to know how you kind of advertise yourself in a fairly saturated market. So, like, what would you do right now to advertise yourself if you were to sort of pick clients up, or in the past what you've done? Because I'm sure right now it's not really relevant because you've probably got waiting lists or you're full anyway. So
yeah, fortunately now we don't ever have to advertise, and I'd almost cringe at myself if I did, because I think right now it's when people do advertise, it's quite obvious that then they're it comes across as a bit desperate. It's kind of like, I don't know, McDonald's can advertise to you that they have amazing burgers, but they're never going to be like, we have all these burgers made, come and buy them. So you can advertise yourself via your amazing results and be like, we've got these amazing results. If you want to see more, check this website. Maybe you can do that. I think that's a great way. But just to post about yourself lifting and then say at the end, look how strong I am, and come, look, I do online coaching, email me here. I think that's it's just so lazy. Like so many people do it. They just post like an ab shot and then for online coaching go here. And I think a lot of people know better. I think it is just laziness. But it's funny, I'm not even sure if I've really changed how I advertise myself from the beginning. I think I've always just gone down the route of, if I do good work with the people I'm working with, I can share those results. If I share great results, people will see that and people will come. And then sharing my own progress, I think, has been vital to my success, because not only, I mean, for me, online personal training is incredibly personal. So they have to trust that coach, and like knowing that I lift and that I can get shredded and that I have some knowledge definitely helps me. So on my Instagram now, like it's where I spend probably the majority of my time in terms of different social medias, because you can go on your story, people can actually interact with you on there, they can get to know you, and then you can post about your own journey. The infographics, just posting value. So it used to come from the blog posts, and I used to get inquiries through because people would read that and they'd be like, man, you know a lot, but I can't put it all together. Like, come and help me out. And now the value's gone down to infographics, and then into the podcast. Well, obviously I've got loads of kind of guests who have come on and they're reputable. And I guess that rubs off onto me as well, where people are like, okay, if he can talk to these people and have a conversation, he obviously knows enough to do that, which is true. It took me a long time to pick up the courage to actually have a conversation with like people who are stupidly smart. So yeah, it's always been a case of, I always look at people like Andy Morgan or Lyle McDonald, and they have built themselves from just sharing incredible value for free. And then they, like, Lyle McDonald sells books, so does Andy, but Andy sells loads of coaching as well. And then through the people I have worked with, just sharing their great results and bigging them up, because they do a fantastic job, and like they are your marketing in a way. I think you're going down the wrong route if you try and just be like, don't know, advertising open spots. Maybe now and then you could do that, but it's similar to like Gary Vee's approach in terms of like, I can't remember exactly it was like hit jab, and then right hook.
Jab, right hook.
That's the one. So provide loads, and then now and then you can put in a sneaky plug, but don't keep plugging like every single day that you have spots available, because no one will want you. Scarcity drives a bit of demand at the same time.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's that desperation in a way. Like you want to get full with clients, but it's doing it fast. I think a lot of people just want to do it in a month. They want to be at like that holy pinnacle of 50 clients, but the reality is it takes a long time. Like it takes a long time to really build to that point. And that kind of leads to the next thing I want to ask you. Did you sort of know when you had a turning point in your business, like what really sort of driven it, like in terms of the podcast, or whether it was YouTube, perhaps it was some stuff you were doing on Instagram? Would you say there was a real turning point, like even possibly Facebook groups?
Really interesting question, because I wish there was an obvious turning point. There really wasn't. No. It was more just try lots of things, see what sticks, what am I good at, and I've like, you naming all those things, I still trying to juggle all of them is difficult. So I have the Facebook group, I have the Instagram, I have the YouTube, have like podcasts and all of those things, and it is hard to juggle. But sometimes you just have to. I mean, there's even more. You could go down Twitter, you could go down Snapchat and do everything. Yeah. But I think finding a few platforms that you can provide a lot of value on that you enjoy, and then be consistent with that, is so important. I know like it's so slow now to build Instagram followers. Like it just, initially it was like quite quick. And I think I hit 10K in like not that long, and then it just trickled up so slowly. But the key is you build a platform, you get a base of followers, you interact with them, and then just keep interacting with them. You don't need, like, I've got 25,000 followers on Instagram, but you could have 10,000 who are all really engaged with your content, and then you only need 30 of that, like 10,000, to then sign up for coaching. You've got like a income. Exactly. So I think it just is consistency over time is just so important. We all know that with training. Like just keep hitting upon the like main principles over and over again and progress with that. And you just keep doing that with your own business. And I think in some ways, I feel like I've been a bit lucky with kind of, I think my podcast is one of the more earlier ones that kind of came out in terms of interviewing experts and things. And now there's tons of them, and that's become almost oversaturated. And so, that. And then I have to say, putting in kind of the risk that I didn't have a clue where it would turn out with Mike Israetel, and bringing him over for a seminar, and now doing it for the third time this year, having that relationship with him has really paid off. And I've spoken to Mike about it, and he was like, the reason I kind of stick with you and we work together is because you're a great guy and you do a great job. Like he was like, there's loads of people you could do this with, but because you care and you actually do a fantastic job, I'm sticking with you because like you bring me up. I've actually helped him build his profile, and he hasn't just built mine. So it's just building these connections with people and just being very genuine, I think, has helped me.
Yeah. So would you say that if you had, like, I don't know, if like for myself or another coach, would you say almost reaching out and doing regular things like you're doing with Mike is a great way to build a business? Because obviously Mike is up there in terms of his knowledge and his science-based practitioner. So would you say, like, if myself or someone went and tried to do that, do you think that's a good idea to do? Get involved with podcasts on a weekly basis to try and build both businesses in a way?
Yeah, I think I kind of think what goes around comes around in many ways. Someone who I think has done a fantastic job at this is Miguel. He has he's done work with Alan Aragon, with Lane Norton, with Minna Henselmans, now with us. He's on podcasts all the time, and he just goes about it in a really, like, when he approached me to come on the Revive Stronger podcast, he did it in just a really genuinely nice way, because most of the time, if people approach me to come on the podcast, I'm like, you're probably not someone I want on the podcast. But you can tell if someone's done it in a copy and paste format, or they've written it out, they're actually genuinely interested in you, they follow your work, and they've got some value to give to you. That's so important. If you can present like a way of helping someone else, that's where your value is. Because for myself, I'm not like a PhD. I haven't got the smarts. My value isn't in that. It's in the other elements, like the business elements, the behind the scenes, the coaching, the understanding individuals. It's knowing where your strengths are, and then how you can help someone. So if there is someone you're looking at who you think they might be able to help me out, look at what you could do for them. And if you could even just ask them, they might know of something you could even do. We've had people approach us for like internships and things, and often we have to turn them down because we don't have anything. We create us work to give them work. So I think it's a great idea if you can find someone and you can be like, I can do this for you. Would you let me? So if you can maybe, I don't know, someone big and be like, I see you're doing these infographics, I think I could do them better, I'll do them for you. Something like that, just off the top of my head.
Just another way to get your name sort of out there, I guess, isn't it? So expanding where your name comes from. So another thing which also, congratulations on Instagram yesterday. I think it was 25,000 followers. Yeah,
literally just I was almost a bit scared to post it because I was like, what if a few people unfollow me now? I'm going to go down to 24.9.
And like seeing Instagram and the content you put out is also really good as well. And I wanted to ask about, do you have a strategy with it? Because there's always, even on the weekend, there's always content from you, whether it's stories you're doing in sort of a talk through a subject. There's usually 2 posts a day. I'm pretty sure there is. It's an infographic and then something else. Like, do you have a specific Instagram strategy at the minute for what you're doing to build it? Because I see people with infographics now, and it's like, this is the calories in a Starbucks iced tea, this is the calories in a Starbucks hot iced tea, and it's just like, it's okay, but I really enjoy your infographics and they actually really help. So do you have a strategy as such to what you're doing right now on Instagram?
So I do have a strategy. I don't know. It feels too clever to call it a strategy. I do post twice a day. Apart from on the weekends, I just post once. Just once. So Saturday and Sunday. But the only reason for that is time. I prefer to just have a bit of a break from Instagram, because part of Instagram and part of the strategy, I guess, is communicating with people. So I make sure I respond to like every comment that's on a post. I try and respond to every single one, even the spammers. No, I gave up on those because I was like, this is too long. I can't have replied to all these. So making sure to respond to them. But on a daily basis, I post first thing in the morning an infographic. So those are done every day, and then one later post, which is generally something to do with what I'm doing right now and sharing some value about my current situation. So one's very kind of non-specific in terms of just general information that can help a lot of people, and then the other one's more specific to my situation but might be able to help others. So it might be like, I hit a PR on a lift and this is what I was thinking. It might be some technique or something. And then the infographics, completely agree with you, it's completely saturated again. Like, they took off and now it's like they become numbing to the brain. Like, you almost don't care. You just see them, you swipe past them. And there were times where I wanted to give up on them, but I still get great feedback with them, and they are content that I think is just, they can be really useful. The strategy I have with those is to make them like hyper niche, almost like incredibly niched to bodybuilding physique competitors, because that is exactly who we want to attract. We do the same thing with the podcast. You'll probably notice we want to dominate like physique competitors, bodybuilders. We don't want to bring on people just to talk. I don't want someone to come on and just talk about like diabetics is fine, but that doesn't really have any relevance to our audience. I want like every physique competitor to be like, Revive Stronger is the place where I get my information from, because that's all relevant to me, rather than being broad and just trying to be very general with like our infographics. Like, our physique competitors and like people who are more advanced know like to order a skinny Starbucks versus a full fat one. I don't need to post about that. That's not really going to help the people I want to coach. So very much my content that I put out purposeful towards the people I want to attract to our business, because if you start posting just random crap like for like, I don't know, obese females, I'm going to attract obese females, and that's not who I am good at working with. So there's no point me doing that. So yeah, that's the strategy at the moment. I don't have anything more than that apart from just consistency and try and do stories because they're quite fun. And I don't know if I feel like I should start getting into the live stories and things, but nothing has developed on that quite yet.
Yeah, it's good to see like the Instagram and the content you put on there. And just to touch on the live stories, I think that is something which right now, like, because you've got a very engaged Instagram, that would probably work very well for you. Because like when you, as you may have known, I guess in the past, when Instagram isn't as engaged, things like lives can just
sit there.
Yeah, you sit there and you've just got one person watching, and usually it's your mum, so it's just like so yeah, not ideal.
No, I've been there in the past with, I think I did live Facebooks before where there just wasn't many people, but fortunately, yeah, we've got the, like in our Facebook group we do the live Q&A now and then, and even that draws in like, we get at least 20 people from the group, who everyone in that group is like potential clients basically, because they're all very much within that niche. So that's really cool. I think being the really finding who your client is and providing information for them, just like picture someone in your mind who you'd like to coach, write your information as if you're writing it to them.
Yeah, okay, cool. And would you say that, this kind of leads on to the next question perfectly, would you say that kind of resonates in your podcast as well, based on the content you put out on that? Because obviously we've touched on it a little bit, but from episode 1 to what you are on now, I think you just touched over 100 the other day, didn't you? You did the round table, the deload one. Would you say since the start of the podcast to where it is now, the type of content has changed based on sort of where you're looking to take things? Like how would you say the podcast is built in that way?
Definitely. So when it was first emerging, really I started it up as I wanted to get Mark Newcomb, who came on for a short period of time as a coach. His life circumstances changed. He couldn't continue to work for Revive Stronger, which is fine. And it was more of a way just for us to discuss things and get our knowledge out there and get his name out there. So that's where that kind of discussion side came, where now me and Pascal do it, which I really enjoy. And we get fantastic feedback on those. Like we get more comments about those podcasts than we will from like the interviews. We get good comments like in the comment section asking questions about the main interviews, but people will directly message me and Pascal about our discussions and how engaging they were and how relatable they are, and that's really empowering and really nice actually to hear. So that I think has been a really cool element, because I think someone who is going to be a client of yours, you'd hope they've probably seen your blog, seen your Instagram, seen your Facebook, and now they can go onto podcasts or the podcast me and Pascal do and listen to us, and they'll be like, man, that guy sounds like the coach for me. The amount of clients I've come to for coaching, and like I don't even need to tell them the price because they don't care. They're like, you're the coach for me. You're the one I want, and that's where I want them to be. I don't want to have to feel like I have to sell them. I don't want to feel awkward about telling them the price or anything about that. So that's where the podcast is really valuable in that way, because they really get an understanding of who you are, your knowledge base, what you're like. So that's really cool. But then the interviews have also got more specific. So like I was talking about, just becoming very much, okay, this is the bodybuilding podcast. Like this is for physique athletes. So initially I had people like Mike Vicanti on, who you may even interview on this because he's a fantastic online trainer.
He's definitely going to be lined up at some point,
So he's a really nice guy. Like it was a fun chat, but it's not where I wanted the podcast to go. So same with Andy Morgan, had him on, talked about business. And that, again, was really fun, but it's not the route I wanted to go down. So people like that, I'm not interviewing them unless they come on and talk about how they coach people and how they kind of would help people in like their physique goals and things like this. And even if people have knowledge outside of like physique sports, I will try and direct it towards that. So I had someone like Joseph Agu on and like using protein intake for physique athletes, and like Dan Pardy came on talking about sleep, and we could have just done an episode on just sleep in general, but I was like, I want to specify this for guys who are in the gym trying to like grow muscle, and that made it just more applicable, because now you'll get a listener who will be like, all right, I want to learn about sleep, like I'm into the gym. Shall I listen to this podcast that Dan Pardy was on that's just a general health podcast, or should I listen to the one where he's going to talk about it specifically for people like me? It's like a training study that's done on like Gen Pop versus bodybuilders. You know which one's more applicable to you as a trainee. So it definitely has evolved, just like making sure to really understand who our audience is and what content they want. And probably what helped me there is it's the same sort of content I'd want because my clients are like, either more, some of them are more advanced than me, some of them are less, some of them are same stage, but they're kind of like me, which helps in many ways.
Yeah, and that's interesting, especially the part about with the podcast with you and Pascal, how you actually conjure up the content for that. Is that a case of do you just chat, or is it a case of you sort of say, okay, we're going to talk about this today, because I've listened to them and they're great, and it just seems like you're just having a general chat, because it just like you two are just kind of gel together. So
no, I appreciate that. I enjoy, like, I've been listening to AJ Morrison Balaton. They've recently been doing theirs, and I've listened to you and AJ I think talk before, and they're just interesting to hear other coaches and how they coach, because like papers and science can tell you one thing, but then actually practically applying that to clients is completely different, and seeing it in real life. So when me and Pascal get on, we normally talk for about half an hour off air, trying to conjure up some sort of something to talk about. We normally then decide on a topic, and sometimes it changes from our discussion. So we just end up rambling about something, and we're like, oh, okay, now we've talked about this. Oh, well. So you realize as you get into a discussion about someone who's very similar to you, who has a lot of smarts about something, but maybe slightly different opinions and different experiences, you can just find so many different topics, and it almost becomes just like a series rather than like a specific podcast. That's why people have asked for like timestamps and stuff on those episodes, where we're like, we can't, there's no real general, like we haven't got questions we're answering.
No, I do really enjoy them. I think any viewers that are looking for sort of the good conversations that Steve and Pascal have, to go and check them out. So I wanted to ask, like, what would be like your 3 biggest pieces of advice for a coach who's looking to start out into online coaching? Like, what would you give them as terms of their advice?
So I'd say initially, make sure it's what you want to really do. Understand what it involves. So I think a lot of people are just like, they see everyone's doing it, and like they can work from home and it's flexible, and they don't really know what it involves. And it's going to be like, it's saturated. It's hard now to get in and make a name for yourself. So really work out, is online coaching actually what you want to be doing, or is it just something that you've kind of made up a dream job in your mind? Because it does involve a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't see. And it's not the same as one-on-one personal training. You might be made for one-on-one personal training. I miss elements of that. And that's why I think I've conjured up the videos, because I really like that human interaction, because it can get quite lonely otherwise. So first of all, just make sure you actually want to do it. I think it's important. Then secondly, I think find people that you can help, and choose those people who you want to help and can help the best, and specify everything towards them and learn about them and how you can really develop helping those people. Because it's very much like those personal trainers who have all those different certifications on the wall, and you're like, what, you're a specialist, like powerlifter, kettlebell swinger, and like fat loss hormone specialist, and you're like, really, is that, like, that doesn't sound so great. Whereas if you have the one person who's like specialist kettlebell swinger, you're gonna go for them for kettlebell swinging, because they know that inside out. So find the niche you want to help, find your avatar, I guess it's called in businessy terms, and make sure you're targeting your value and your content towards them. And then once you've found people you can help, share those results and make sure people understand that, like, you know what you're doing. And then kind of you'll get referrals and things. That's where it can build. That's where a lot of my initial business also built was those referrals between friends. And then finally, I think would be social media, without doubt, is a powerful tool for marketing. Like, it's massive. But the key thing you need to do is find something that you enjoy and that you're good at. Because I've seen people like try and do podcasts or try and do videos, and it's like, mate, you're not made for video. You're not made for, like, you just can't. You're umming and ahhing all the time, or you just are really boring to listen to. You're not engaging. So they might be better suited to writing blogs or doing infographics. And just find the thing that you enjoy and that you can be consistent with and provide good information with. I think that those are probably the three big key things. And then, well, as a bonus, obvious one, consistency over time with all of that. Just make sure, because so many guys get into it and they're like, I think we even had a post in our group potentially, like someone posted, they're like really struggling to find clients. They've been following lots of tips on how to grow their business. And it's like, how long have you been doing this? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So you expect to really, like, we don't always, like, I won't even, just for so listeners would know, like, as a business, we might not even get an application in 2 weeks. And like, we're already a bigger online coaching company. Like, we might have like 4 in 2 weeks, 1 week, but in some weeks we have none in 2 weeks. So it's not like there aren't tons of people all the time.
Brilliant. No, that was a really good insight into what people can do to take away from like your biggest tips. And like, I always like to ask this with everyone who's sort of got to their position where they are in their business now. If you didn't have any clients, but you had the knowledge you have now with all of the tools available, what would you do to build your business up? Like, what direction would you take to really try and build up as much as you can?
That's a really interesting question.
Tough one, isn't it? Everyone gets this like that.
So I think part of what we do on our application forms is we ask where people found us.
Yes.
So that gives me a really good indication of what's kind of working, what platforms are attracting people. So we get most of our people through Instagram and YouTube. It used to be Facebook, like it was always Facebook. Yeah. Recently, like in the last, I don't know, even 4 months, it's been Instagram and podcasts and like YouTube mostly. We actually have podcasts, I think, as a separate selection. So it's been YouTube and Instagram are the consistent ones. So if I was looking to pick up clients, that's probably where I'd spend most of my time, on the YouTube and on Instagram. And I think Instagram in particular, with the story mode and the fact I can actually leave people who message me video replies, and I can be so personal with them. Like, I've had people message me back and be like, oh my God, I got a video reply from you. I'm so excited. So it's crazy. People, like, you can be in someone's house talking to them. Yeah. And I think without a doubt, if you provide people good quality information over that, they're going to be like, right, like, I don't have the time. This guy knows what he's doing. Let's get him as a coach.
Yeah. No, that was a brilliant piece of advice, because I've never thought that, and I'm sure pretty much every coach listening to this is going to now go to that application form and put, where did you find me? Because I'm going to do it after this as well. So that's a very good idea, because realistically, if you keep getting people saying the same thing, then naturally you're going to position yourself on that platform more often. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great idea. So I don't want to keep you for too long, but what is the future plans for Revive Stronger? I know obviously like the seminars are becoming quite popular. Like, are we going to be seeing world tours from Revive Stronger coming soon? Where do you want to take the business from here?
So no, really cool. And I think it's something I need to, as kind of the guy who came up with Revive Stronger, I need to invest a bit more money into in terms of like actual business coaching. It's something I quite like to spend some time on, because I am a bit like, where do we go from here? Yes. And the seminars are never something I thought would be like what we do. It was just like, this is a cool side thing that we do on the side. I don't think I'm not going to look to bring over other experts and start doing that as like our actual venture. I like the relationship we've got with Mike. They work really well. We'll probably keep that as an annual thing that we might just do in London. Yeah. At the moment, I don't see that as something that we're going to branch out into. I think what will probably happen is, I mean, I've always had it as my dream, and this is where, when I got into online coaches, where I wanted to go was become like the European 3DMJ. That was always my goal. They're the people I look up to. Eric Helms and that team have always been kind of like people I've idolized as just fantastic. So I'd love like Revive Stronger to be like the kind of 3DMJ of Europe. Yeah. To position ourselves like that would be incredible. But in terms of other things, I think continuing to maybe we'll bring on other coaches, I'm not sure, but definitely just continue to grow our coaching relationships with kind of Pascal and with Miguel, and get them kind of with a full client, well, Pascal basically is, but get Miguel full of clients, then expand from there, grow the name, and do want to eventually get a HQ kind of like I know Luke Johnson and Shredded by Science kind of have their HQ. I'd love to get that going, and potentially even like in future open a little private studio. Absolutely love that. But in terms of big long-term business ideas, it's more of I'm just in the process of doing everything and just keep doing it. But I'd love to get to a point where I have most of my time, like I really enjoy coaching, I really enjoy social media. I think I'll get to a point where I can scale back my coaching clients to maybe 10 like high quality, well-paying clients, and then provide more value to more people via the social media platforms. That's where I'd love to be, where I can be earning kind of income via other streams. I'm not exactly sure how to get there, but that would be fantastic, because that would just give me, I think it would actually help, I could help more people, and it would give me more freedom and more enjoyment. Not that I don't love coaching a lot of people, but I just think I could help more people for free if I could somehow make some money somewhere else. I just have to work it out in my head.
That's a good idea, and it's I guess it's a bit like the 3DMJ. Like, you put out so much content on social media that it then naturally brings more people to the team itself. So by you doing that, you could then bring more people in. So that's that's really cool to see where you want to take things. Exciting to see it, because I'm sure it will.
I hope so. I don't really know. I've kind of, because I've got my own, when you said it, I was just thinking about the fact I want to compete in 2020 and try and go like and win some shows. That would be fun.
Get the Natural Pro card.
If I went Natural Pro, I'd actually like kick myself. It's not something I'd ever dream that I could personally achieve. So if I can get there, Jack, I will be outstandingly happy.
Awesome. So before we go, like where I know where we can find more about you, and I'm pretty sure a Google search will bring it up, but where is the best place to find out more about you, and obviously your coaching as well? So where's the best place for that, mate?
So if people just head to revivestronger.com, pretty much I think everything's on there. We've got the podcast on there. The Instagram handles Instagram at Revive Instagram. It's just revivestronger.com. Basically everything's Revive Stronger, and they'll be able to find us there. So they can find out more about coaching, the podcast, all at revivestronger.com. And it'd be awesome to have some more people listening to the podcast, enjoying that. And if they want to reach out to me over at Instagram or wherever, they can do.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Thanks. So I really appreciate you coming on today, mate. It was great having you on, and learning more about where Revive Stronger has come from to where it is now. So again, really appreciate you coming on today, mate.
No, my absolute pleasure, and I hope some people found some value there.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, 100%. So that concludes episode 5 of the Online Trainer Show. So we will obviously put all of Steve's details in the show notes, so look out for them, and we'll be back with another episode soon. So thank you again, guys.